Hey movie fans, so I kind of want to do something a little bit different this week, and I kind of hope you stick around long enough to enjoy this ride with me, because I know it's a little bit different of a topic for this channel where we usually talk about movies, comics, TV, etc. But given that WrestleMania is this weekend and I'm a huge pro wrestling fan, I kind of wanted to dedicate just one video real quick just to talk about why I love it so much. And yes, I'm fully aware, I know what y'all are going to say. Fake, right? Yes. Anyone that watches wrestling knows that it's fake. But so is the MCU, so is Game of Thrones, so is any Disney movie. That's the point. It's just a different form of entertainment and storytelling. And at the end of the day, I love storytelling. Heck, it's why I did 3 full videos on how I would do a Nightwing movie. Just because I love telling stories and I love having stories told to me. And if they're good, I think wrestling stories are fantastic. I think wrestling gets a bad rap because there's so many bad stories. There's a lot of bad. What I want to do today is focus on one story told over many years. Like if you follow a specific character, like a Captain America or a Spider-Man, you can follow their journey, whether it's in movies or TV and comics. You can follow the changes and developments of this character through all the highs and the lows. When it comes to wrestling, you can kind of do the exact same thing. And there's one wrestler above any other that has always been my favorite, and especially in recent years, has had some of the most compelling and interesting stories that all kind of tell one interwoven, beautiful story of losing your way and redemption. That man, Sami Zayn. If you've never seen any wrestling before, or you've watched wrestling since the day you were born, I think this video is for you. If you like stories, let me tell you the story of Sami Zayn in the WWE. So quick terminology to get out of the way before we go full on to this video. If I accidentally slip and say babyface or face or heel, face or babyface means good guy. And if I say heel, that means bad guy. It's just short term. So our story basically starts when Sami Zayn was in something called NXT. So NXT, for those unfamiliar, is basically the developmental system for WWE, almost like the minor leagues, except like not necessarily to the same degree, but something similar. You get a whole bunch of people that are recently signed by WWE. You teach them kind of the WWE way of, all right, here's the cameras, here's the lights, the presentation, what it's like in front of a lot of fans. And he was the beloved babyface of NXT. He was the good guy through and through. Everyone loved him. He was the good moral compass, a la like a Captain America type. Always did what was right, was always the underdog though. The thing was, Sami, the good guy, but he could never win when it mattered most. He could never win the big one. He choking hazard. Something would always get in his way. He'd always get in his own head. He would always be screwed out of it. Whatever reason, he could never win the big NXT championship, which was held by his friend Adrian Neville. So in a sheer act of desperation, after try after try after try, Sami Zayn says, if I cannot beat you, I will leave NXT forever. But the whole time, people are toying with the idea of, Sami, you are the good guy. Are you willing to do whatever it takes to win the championship? Are you willing to compromise who you are? Are you willing to play dirty, etc., etc.? So we get to the match itself, and there's a moment when the ref is down, because it's wrestling. If you blow on the ref hard enough, he'll fall over. It's just... And Sami picks up the belt, which is totally legal, by the way, and he's considering whacking his opponent in the head without the ref looking, basically cheating to win, a la Luke Skywalker looking at his own hand at Return of the Jedi, and he throws the belt away, realizing, okay, I need to do this the right way for me. And sure enough, Sami finally wins it. He wins it the right way. His way. The funny thing is, the night he wins the title, his real life best friend slash best enemy, Kevin Owens, debuts same night in NXT. And as soon as Sami Zayn is celebrating his championship, he's attacked by Kevin Owens, setting off their years-long story that will pick up intermittently in our story of Sami Zayn. Basically, Kevin is the exact antithesis of Sami. Kevin is conniving, he's malicious, he's aggressive, he's angry. He will do whatever it takes to win, because in Kevin's mind, cheating means success, and success means better things for him and his family. If he is champion, it means higher payday, etc., etc. Kevin has logic to why he acts the way he does, but he's still the opposite of Sami. He's the Joker to Sami's Batman. They are two polar opposites in every single way. After a bit of time and Kevin now winning the title from Sami, Sami goes to the big bright lights of the WWE. He gets called up to the main roster where all the big stars are, all the big names. So Sami's on the main roster, and what happens? Diddly squat. Nothing happens to Sami Zayn whatsoever. They don't do anything with him. His character doesn't do anything, and he gets very, very sad and depressed that I'm doing everything right. I am staying true to who I am. I'm stuck doing nothing. But on the flip side, a certain other individual has been called up to the main roster, Kevin Owens. Yep. Kevin, on the other hand, has won multiple championships. He has won multiple mid-level championships, like the United States title or the Intercontinental title. And he's even won one of the most prestigious and high-ranking titles in the company, the Universal title. Yeah. Kevin's doing just fine for himself, doing things the Kevin Owens way. Whereas Sami, on the other hand, is trying to stay true to who he is, nothing to show for it in all of his years on the main roster. Then we get a segment before one of Kevin's matches coming up soon where he's fighting the boss's son. Wrestling's weird. Sometimes you gotta sit through the weird to get through the good story segments. Sami and Kevin have this wonderful heart-to-heart that I don't think gets talked about nearly enough because it's a very critical moment in the character that is Sami Zayn. Sami fully acknowledges to Kevin, yeah, it kind of does bother me that you won so much basically cheating and being a scoundrel, whereas I've done things the right way and I've gotten nothing.
But you've also taken every cheap shot. You've also cut every corner. You have taken every reprehensible action to get to where you are.
It frustrates me, but I know at the end of the day, I will do things my way and I will be rewarded for it.
I'm not doing too great, I'll admit that, but guess what? My day will come, and when it comes, I will do it my way. I will do it the right way.
So guess what happens? Sami turns into a bad guy and joins Kevin. And Sami is a bad guy for a very long time. But it was an interesting choice for the character of Sami Zayn if we're just looking at it from a storytelling perspective. Because Sami turns into a bad guy because he sees what Kevin has and he wants that. He's willing to sacrifice who he is to basically trying to be Kevin 2.0. All the while realizing, or Sami, not Kevin. You won the NXT title doing things your way. If you stick it out, you will eventually have success if you stay true to yourself. What's weird though is eventually Sami and Kevin, who were working together, are now split up. They end up going to different shows and Kevin kind of turns into a babyface. He turns into a good guy. But Sami has stayed a bad guy. He's still trying to make it work, but he's not very good at it. The interesting thing is, his bad guy isn't interesting like Kevin. Sami as a bad guy is goofy, aloof, not taken seriously by just about anybody. And it was way too long for me to realize that's a 100% intentional choice by the character of Sami Zayn. Sami, because he was a good guy for so long, doesn't know how to be a bad guy still at the core of who he is. He knows deep down he's a good guy, but he wants the success that Kevin had. So he's pretending to be a bad guy. He's pretending what he sees as a villain. Okay, this is what I need to do. And that's why it doesn't work for him. It's why it's so awkward as a character, because he's phony. He's a character playing another character. He's a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. And it kind of works for him. Yeah, he finally ends up winning his first championship. He cheats to win and gets his first title, a mid-level title, but he still ends up losing a lot. So at the end of the day, he loses just as much as a bad guy as he does as a good guy, which leaves him in a very awkward spot. He loses so much. He lost to the guy from Jackass at WrestleMania. And yes, I have seen that match in its entirety multiple times because yes, it is amazing from all parties involved. So this leaves the character of Sami Zayn in a very interesting spot. You lose all the time when you were a good guy. You lose all the time when you were a bad guy. And now because you're a bad guy who doesn't actually act like everyone knows and is expecting Sami Zayn to act, he's lost all of his friends. He has burned every single bridge that he has. He's gonna build himself a new bridge with the single most powerful and dangerous person in WWE. Roman Reigns is the face of WWE and has been since about 2014, 2015. In the pandemic era, he created a supergroup called The Bloodline, which is basically made up of his real life family. Roman Reigns, real name Joseph Anawahi, as his cousins Jimmy and Jey Uso, their brother Solo Sikoa. They are all part of what is called the Anawahi family, a very prestigious name in the world of wrestling as an actual like famous and humongous wrestling family. It's where The Rock comes from, Umaga, the Head Shrinkers. There's a bunch of people all in this family. And Sami is not part of that family officially, but he's so desperate for love and acceptance that he just starts hanging out with them and goes, hey, you're a family? Mind if I start hanging out with you? And they are just like, okay. Basically equated to Roman is an evil mad king and he is keeping Sami around as some form of a court gesture to make him laugh and just poke fun at him. The rest of the group doesn't trust him. They all just see him as a joke. But Sami, because he has strayed so far from the character that we met back in NXT, he is willing to embrace the humiliation and the laughter at him if someone accepts him and is willing to have him around because he has lost that along the way, and he's willing to get any form of acceptance or validation. So over the coming months, Roman gets more and more petty because more and more people start to love Sami because he's a goofy character. It works for him. So eventually, he gets accepted into the Bloodline. He finally has a group that loves and accepts him. Granted, they are the biggest heels in WWE. They are the worst of bad guys, and no one gets in their way, including one man named Kevin Owens. Yup, he's back. Babyface Kevin Owens, it's important to note for our story here. So Roman fights Kevin once again. The match itself, not that interesting, because again, the match is very rarely is the most important part of storytelling. It's everything before and after it. Roman beats Kevin, no big deal. After the match, the entire Bloodline, minus Sami, take turns beating the ever-living crap out of Kevin Owens and making an example of him. Finally, Sami steps in and is like, okay guys, he's had enough. And Roman hands Sami a weapon. Sami with a weapon in his hand with a very important moral choice to make. Roman tells Sami he needs to be the one to finish off Kevin. Sami uses a weapon for good this time. In NXT, he didn't want to use a weapon because he knew it would be cheating. This time, he uses a weapon to liberate himself from Roman, cracking Roman in the back with a chair. And for his troubles, he gets the crap beat out of him too. But it starts the slow rebuilding process of Sami Zayn, the redemption of the character that has lost his way. So Sami goes, okay, I need to fight Roman, the big bad. I need to be the one to finally beat Roman because Roman has not been beaten since, I believe, 2020. The story isn't about Sami winning the title. It's about Sami becoming Sami again. And it's Sami accepting, okay, I am good enough. I have always been good enough. It's not about the title. The title would be nice, but I'm okay being Sami Zayn again. Loses to Roman, but in the process, he gains real family again, as him and Kevin are reunited and work together as brothers to beat Roman's cousins, Jimmy and Jey Uso, at WrestleMania, and they win the tag team titles together, Sami and Kevin, but doing it Sami's way. Sami and Kevin are on the same page, but the right page this time. Sami knows who he is. And at the end of the day, Sami is still trying to win the big one. And I think long term, the plan is for him to win the big one, but win it his way. The character of Sami has gone from being the beloved underdog to losing their way to coming all the way back to the good graces and winning at the biggest stage of them all with his best friend, on the path to redemption. I think that's an incredibly well-told story. Sami was in NXT in like 2014, and this story is still going on. This is just one of many stories that you can tell with WWE people. I love when you can follow a specific character and chart their journey and their path through the years. Whether it's a Sami Zayn or a Captain America or a Spider-Man or a Nightwing. I swear that video is coming at some point. I'm getting pretty far along in Nightwing 3, you'll be happy to know. I just like following a good journey, and it doesn't matter what medium it is. So whether you love wrestling or whether you don't, never seen any of it, there's some stories that are worth getting invested in. Thanks for letting me make this video, and as always, stay sharp, movie guys and gals.